was your fault, still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me.
Well, if you are tuning in, that is Reckless Love by Corey Osbury. The time is exactly 1 p.m. here on Agape FM, and we are having a blast. You are joining me, John. I'm the host for this show. And on this show, we bring incredible people, amazing entrepreneurs, influencers, movers, and shakers of Port Elizabeth, now called Rebecca. Welcome. And for those who are tuning in on Facebook, this is Agape's Midday Talk Session. Is a business show. We feature incredible people. And today we have an incredible man. Seated opposite of me is Matthew Watkins. Matthew, you want to say hi to our listeners?
Hi, everybody.
Good. So this is a phenomenal entrepreneur, and we just had a conversation, and I believe you want to hear every little bit of it because it's very inspiring. Well, we know we've gone through really tough times as entrepreneurs. COVID and everything has affected a lot of people. A lot of paradigm shifts have happened. We tapping into the fourth industrial revolution, and you don't want to miss it because you might not be relevant in the next season of life if you do not go with the flow. So we are going to have a conversation today on e-commerce and how that has affected and will affect many businesses to come. So his name is Matthew Watkins, as I said, age 30. He has been working in the hospitality industry his entire life and had begun to make a career for himself as a restaurant manager, barman, and waiter. By the end of 2017, he had decided that he needed to get out of the restaurant game, and after a failed restaurant attempt, managed to get a job as a junior trainer at the largest POS point of sale company in Africa in early 2018. He managed to work his way up to regional training manager by the beginning of 2019, but by the end of 2019, he saw COVID-19 creeping on the horizon. He knew that he had to make another plan as all their clients were restaurants and bars, so job security was quickly on shaky ground. So he decided to look into internet-based businesses as a backup plan and was on the verge of attempting drop shipping when he discovered that he could basically create any functional website he wanted for very little, and he decided that he would create a business that will help other small businesses during the pandemic. Thus, the Corner Store was born. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The Corner Store was a multi-vendor business model that gave small businesses a footprint into e-commerce free of charge. They would then collect the products and deliver them to the customers. They launched the day after the first lockdown was announced. In their first few months, they had done over 60,000 rand worth of sales, which was amazing. But during this time, Matthew was given another great opportunity as well as multiple challenges, which led to the decision to close the business. Matthew Watkins has no tertiary education, but he made use of multiple resources to learn everything he needed to know, from web development to social media, marketing, and logistics. His passion has always been to develop projects from something small into something great and mentor and help people along the way. He realized that his drive and passion was far better suited to investing into small businesses and business owners, teaching them what he knows, that is, to navigate the new normal we find ourselves in. Automation, low overheads, and effective marketing make e-commerce a fantastic way to launch a brand or a business, but the skill set is very limited in South Africa. Welcome once again, Matthew.
Thanks.
It's great to have you. So we like to start from the very beginning. Please take us to what really inspired you to get into business.
Okay, so I've always been an employee. That means that I've always worked for somebody and never had my own business. And I've always found myself being extremely creative in terms of thinking of business ideas and things like that. But, you know, the normal thing of funding was always a problem for me.
Yeah.
So the corner store concept was something I'd been working on paper for a couple of years already, maybe about 2 or 3 years before COVID was even in the picture.
Wow.
And basically I'd taken the idea to multiple developers, and the cheapest quote that I got to actually bring my idea to reality was about 120,000 Rand, which was just insurmountable for me. There's just no ways that I could afford that. And so I'd always spent a lot of time, my poor wife has been seeing me awake almost every night. You know, I go to bed at about 2 o'clock in the morning, just constantly watching YouTube videos, reading on how things are done, etc. And so I came across a concept called drop shipping as well. So for people that don't know what drop shipping is basically you as an entrepreneur being a middleman between a manufacturer, which most of the time is in China, and you would then market and label a product as your own, and people would order it, and then the factory that manufactured it would deliver it to the customer. So I looked into this for quite a while as well. There are very, very few South African companies that support a drop shipping model, but again, we just couldn't find products that would get from China to South Africa in time. I mean, if you order something from Wish or AliExpress, you know how long it takes to get here. So that was just a no-go for me. And so after investigating it a bit more, I started to come across multiple different e-commerce platforms, things like GoDaddy, things like Wix, Shopify, and I fell into the WooCommerce platform, which is a free platform. It was actually created in South Africa as far as I know.
Wow.
Or it's a WordPress-based platform, and it's completely free. It just takes a bit of know-how how to develop and use it to do what you need to do. And so from there, I started to investigate, and I made a couple of mock-up sites, which didn't work, and they looked terrible and they looked horrible because I'm not a graphic designer, but be that as it may. I started to see that the realization that I could actually do the corner store concept myself without the need for a developer. And so, just grew from there. Basically, been working on the site for about 6 months. Had no intention of launching it as soon as I did. But once the first lockdown happened, I knew that this was something that we needed to get out there. So I launched it. And the rest is what it is.
Yeah, the rest is history, as we say. We many times our listeners and viewers are entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs. Many of us who get into business get hit with this reality. It costs more.
100%.
And the capital is not there every time. So how did you go about setting up the corner store?
Okay, so you do have certain amount of costs that do go into opening or starting a website, namely what we call the domain registration. So that would be your website address that you need to purchase. That costs about 75 Rand a year, which is very little. And then your monthly hosting fees, and different companies offer different rates and different speeds and all those type of things. I found one that does it for under 50 Rand a month. So it was extremely cost effective for me to do that. There were multiple challenges, and I could not hold stock. Number one, I didn't have a warehouse. Number two, I wasn't a manufacturer of goods. So I decided to take a model that meant that I would be using other people's products. So if you were a butchery, for example, I would not buy your meat from you and then store it in my facility and sell it at my marked up price. I would just take it straight from you, straight to the customer, and take a commission from that. So that helped me overcome the manufacturing and the storage part of it. The graphics part of it, I used a program called Canva. which is free.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything to use. You can make an app. You can get an app for it on your phone as well, and that helped with my marketing for free. And then just just being diligent on Facebook, promoting it in groups, promoting it on Facebook Marketplace, creating my own Facebook page, getting people to join. Eventually, when we did start to make a bit of money, I did put an ad campaign in of 200 Rand a week in place, which did help. But it wasn't something that I started off doing. I only had those funds once I actually started making money with the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. For somebody listening to us right now and is wanting to venture into e-commerce, let's talk a little bit about e-commerce, because that's where you've been involved a long time.
Yeah.
What is e-commerce?
So e-commerce is basically electronic shopping, electronic commerce. Okay?
Electronic commerce.
It's not run from a central office or a shop front. It's something that is digital. If you were manufacturing, you would obviously need a warehouse or storage facility of some kind, but the base of your business and the front of your business to the public would always be something that's online. And the technology and services out there for e-commerce is massive. I mean, you've got online payments now. There's some really, really great South African ones out there as well, so people can pay online. There's absolutely no need to have cash. You can integrate your website with multiple courier companies. So once the order is placed, the delivery is done. I mean, the whole system is completely automated. Marketing via emails and things like that. So it's really an extremely cost-effective way to start a business. You don't need to hire a shop. You don't need to hire staff. Everything is completely automated. You don't need any fancy equipment. You can build a website from a tablet if you really wanted to. So yeah, that's basically e-commerce in a nutshell. And it's a growing trend. I think we've seen a massive increase in e-commerce customers in South Africa in the last year.
Wow.
And a bit, yeah.
We're talking about paradigm shift here.
Yeah.
You know, some of us were born in the 80s, 70s even, and the world was a whole lot different back then.
Yeah.
What kind of mindset does one need? You know, what should one need to do to themselves, at least, in terms of knowledge and information, to get to be transformed, to understand how e-commerce. You mentioned about you educating yourself through YouTube videos and whatever you. So what do you suggest for somebody who wants to step into e-commerce?
Well, yeah, obviously you need to learn how to create the platform yourself. That would save you a lot of money instead of hiring a developer. So YouTube was a great help for me as well. There's also a website called Udemy, Udemy. Some of the courses are free on there as well, and you can enroll yourself and educate yourself that way. Google actually has a fantastic platform as well, where you can do free courses on online marketing and how to use Google AdSense and those type of things to your advantage. So there's a lot of free resources out there. I think the most important thing is you need to be willing to adapt to your market. That would be what has killed a lot of businesses in COVID, and that has also been why a lot of businesses have flourished in COVID, is their ability to look at their market, to realize that the market out there is changing, that their customers have changed, and then they as a business also need to change. If you feel like the only way you're going to make your business work is by having a little shop and serving the 5 or 10 customers that come in every day, once those customers stop coming in the door, you don't have a business anymore. So you need to look outside of those constraints that you put on yourself and be open to anything that's out there.
Absolutely. So e-commerce is the thing that actually every entrepreneur should consider in this time and age. And I believe COVID has just fast forwarded things, and made it an absolute necessity.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the University of YouTube, the University of Google. This actually, we're living in an information, age. Information is everywhere. It's cheap. It's on your phone. You just have to Google it. So let's talk about what does somebody need. Let's talk at the very basics that you need to set up, say, an online store.
Well, that's actually the really great thing about what's happening at the moment it used to be you needed big, servers based somewhere. Then you could cloud servers, and you needed a laptop, and you needed a strong laptop, and you needed Photoshop, and you needed all these crazy things.
Sure.
At the moment, the very basics, if you have the willingness to actually do the work, is you just need WhatsApp. You need a phone. You need WhatsApp Business on your phone, which is completely free, and you can get going in a matter of 2 hours.
What?
Yeah, which is fantastic. I mean, it's something that, and the reality of the country that we live in is not everybody has a laptop, and not everybody has money for Photoshop and licensing, and not everybody has gone to university to learn these things. And we understand, and I'm one of those people to a degree as well. But most people, I would say up to 90% of the adult population in this country has got a phone and has got WhatsApp.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic way for you to get into the e-commerce industry just through WhatsApp Business.
Wow. Ladies and gents, if you're tuning in right now and listening to what we're talking about, and I know you've had that business idea that's been on your mind for a while right now, and you thought you needed at least 100,000 rand to start it off. This fresh new thought, you can actually start it on WhatsApp. WhatsApp Business can actually start you off. So, Mr. Watkins, sorry, we're talking about e-commerce. And let's talk about the hindrances, the limitations. Does e-commerce have certain limitations? Can every industry go on e-commerce?
I do think that every industry can go on e-commerce. The problem with e-commerce comes with your client base. Naturally, the older your client base is, the less likely they are to trust an e-commerce platform. When I started the corner store, one of the most difficult things was getting the public to trust that when they paid online, that their goods were going to get delivered to them. So just getting the public educated to realize that this is the way forward, that's a very difficult hurdle to overcome. Also, just being professional. Having a streamlined website, for example, or even a streamlined process if you're not using a website and using WhatsApp Business. Being able to, they call it a sales funnel, being able to get your client from visiting your site to purchasing your product needs to be streamlined, needs to be easy to use. And because you have such a wide scope of who you can access, I mean, online means the entire world if you want it to be. I mean, we could advertise a product from South Africa, we could advertise it in the UK, in America, anywhere in Africa if you really wanted to. You could mark it down to just Port Elizabeth if you wanted to. But the after sales can also be very daunting sometimes. And after sales is very, very important. So after sales would be the communication and the service you give after a sale has happened between you and a customer. If something has gone wrong with the product, are you available? Is there resources that customer can use to contact you? Are you good at replying to them? Do you have communication set up outside that people can learn more about your business? So there are tools that help you with that. There's multiple things you can put on your website. First of all, WhatsApp makes it very easy for them to chat directly with you. If you were growing and you suddenly had about 10,000 customers every month, to communicate with 10,000 people one-on-one is a nightmare. So you need to put something in place and that can be a hindrance because it can burn you out very, very fast as well. Facebook is a fantastic tool with that. Facebook Messenger, there's multiple different Facebook Messenger tools that you can use. That really, really get your message out. They really help you communicate with multiple people at once. But yeah, those would be my two biggest difficulties. Just getting people to understand that e-commerce is the way of the future and using it, and maintaining your customer base.
Absolutely, and especially now that data and is getting cheaper, at least, or more accessible. The internet is more accessible. There's fiber. There's everything everywhere, literally. So it's not a big question, of the how. Just get in and do it. So how do we get, from your experience, you've had quite, let's say, about a year or more, in running the corner store. So what would you advise, somebody who wants to go into e-commerce to watch out, to look, to maybe fine tune something that they can learn from from your experience?
Like I say, the first thing you need to educate yourself. So watch a lot of YouTube channels, but also understand that when you're watching YouTube and when you're doing Udemy courses and things like that, these are all based in America and the UK and Europe. We are in a very, very different country in South Africa. So you need to learn where to adapt and tweak those things that they're using to suit us. And then the other thing would be just to talk, create a community. I mean, we've been speaking as well. I'm quite open to giving people advice and things like that. I wish I had somebody that I could have talked to, because I think I probably messed up about 4 different websites before we came across the corner store. It did cost me quite a bit of money at the end of the day. So yeah, also looking out for competition. What makes you stand out?
Absolutely.
How marketable is your product or service is another big one to look at.
Exactly.
Does your product look good? You also, a very, very important thing that you should be doing is you should be learning the basics of social media marketing. Do you have a Twitter account? Do you have an Instagram account? Do you have a Facebook account? Do you know what these things do? Do you know how they work? Do you know how to engage with the audience? Do you know how to build an audience? Those type of things. So getting the basics of social media marketing down really gives you a foot up above most places.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really like about e-commerce is the reach and sales. And say, for example, you put something on Facebook, you have about, say, 5,000 people that like your page.
Yeah,
That's instant access, stuff like that. It's like taking the cost of everything and minimized it. So the market is much more accessible and stuff like that. So in wrapping up, right, I want to ask you, for people who are watching right now and listening to us and want to get in touch with you and want to ask, for your help and assistance, how can they do that?
Well, look, even if they wanted to contact you and you've got my number, that would probably be best. I don't want to put my number out there and then thousands of people try to contact me.
All right.
Because I can't obviously maintain that. But yeah, I would suggest that they get in touch with Agape Radio, send a message on Facebook or whatever other communication avenues you have. And yeah, me and you'll be in constant communication. So
awesome.
We're available that way.
Awesome. For those people who want to tap into e-commerce, watch out this space, because we will be very available, to assist. There's a couple of projects coming up ahead. Stay in tune. Matthew Watkins is an incredible man who is offering, some of these skills, to help you out here and there, and some of the things that you want to get. Maybe you own, you want to start a clothing, store, online store. Will take you through the nitty-gritty, how to set it up and how to help you make money and be a success. We have a comment from Nikki Rademeyer, and she says, "Oh, Matthew, so good to see you. Haven't seen you since Solid Rock Youth Days."
Yeah, I used to go to Word of Faith church when we used to be in the youth together.
Awesome.
I believe a brother and a sister are Rich and Tammy. Hi, Nikki.
Great to have you. So, well, guys, that has been Matthew Watkins of the Corner Store, and we've just had a conversation on e-commerce. It is the future of things. You don't have to really print banners and do billboards and what have you. Yeah. The whole game has changed. So you can actually get 20,000 views on an ad, an ad campaign online. You don't have to actually go and print banners and do. So the cost of everything has actually minimized. Yeah. And so we will help you to strategize and make your business work. If you have any questions, drop us a WhatsApp, on our number 0694021131, 0694021131. That has been the Midday Talk session with me, your host John, and our guest Matthew Watkins. We are going to listen to Amazing Grace by Ellen Jackson. Stay tuned, because we'll bring goodness your way.